Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and begin this regularly scheduled April 22nd Commission meeting. I want to start by congratulating Commissioner Coleman, Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Farnsworth for being sworn in today at 6 p.m. It's a beautiful ceremony. I do have one small change. We're going to strike item number 1 under presentations. Mike couldn't be here tonight, so we're waiting for him and his family to be here till we recognize them. So with that one small change, I'll ask for an approval of the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martin, a second by Commissioner Maison. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. I'd like to invite Pastor Ralph Williams from Newberry Church of Nazarene to give the invocation tonight. If you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will follow. Pastor, thank you for being here.
May we pray. Father, we are thankful today to be in your presence, to be in a place where we are entrusted with weighty matters, things that make a difference, things that will go beyond the scope of this meeting and this day. And so we pray that you would remind us of the importance of clarity and charity, vision and courage. And I pray for these who are in front of us as they lead us tonight, as they take us places that we haven't been before. I pray that you would give them these virtues, strengthen their hearts, their resolve, give them clarity in their minds. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate that. And that's going to move us to the published item 2, which is Municipal Clerk's Week Proclamation. I'd like to read the following proclamation into the record. Whereas the office of professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Jordan Marlowe, Mayor of the City of Newberry, Florida, to recognize the week of May 5th through 11th, 2024 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Judy S. Rice, and to all professional municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent, duly proclaimed this 22nd day of April 2024. And we have the best professional municipal clerk right here in our midst. So if you would please join me right here for a quick picture, Miss Judy, and I will present you with this. Appreciate it. Anything you want to say to the commission, we'd love to hear.
Well, I really wasn't prepared to do this, but maybe that's the best way. I just want to let you all know that...
Hang on one second, Miss Judy. We got just a slight disturbance in the audience, so my teacher voice is going to come out in just 1 second. Look at that. Go right ahead, Miss Judy.
I wanted to say that I've enjoyed working with each of you, and I hope that we will continue to learn together and work together and resolve issues together and respect each other and do what we feel is right for the community and put our personal feelings aside. So it's a pleasure to work with each of you. And after 34 years of being here, it is nice to know that we have leaders like you all, like the one sitting here now, that is bringing our community forward into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we have some visitors, and unfortunately, you guys, we have the fire chief right here. There's no way he's going to let everybody clog up the aisle here. So we can fill up the seats in here, and then we can have some seats in the what's that called, atrium out there, lobby, and then everybody else is going to have to wait outside until we can rotate in and out. But we can't clog up the aisle like you young men are doing right there, because we got to be able to get in and out. So let's take just a minute and we'll figure out who wants to come in and who wants to stand outside. It's for all those fire drills you do at school, that's exactly what they tell you don't do. Don't clog up the hall. All right. All right. Chief, are we good? We got a clear route of escape now? Okay. While the chief is working that out, let's move to the introduction of Deputy Fire Chief Ed Griffin and Director of I just want the Deputy Chief to see me. I'm on top of the fire escape there, all right? I get accused of a lot of things, but I take fire safety very serious. Mr. Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And tonight I have some really good news to share. I think first I'm going to introduce to you what is part of Newberry's continuing commitment to a diverse workforce. Tonight we are introducing a new employee that is an LSU Tiger lover. And so, but, it's within our mission and values that we want to be a diverse community. And so welcoming LSU Tigers is part of that commitment. And
now, if you had said FSU, we would have had to draw the line. But LSU...
FSU comes in city manager comments a little bit later in the evening, but FSU gets its props as well. Mr. Mayor, I want to introduce you to two new employees that are team leaders for the city. To start with Chief Ed Griffin. He's beginning, I think he's a week or two into his new role as our deputy chief. If you'll remember, y'all approved that position in this year's budget. It's the first time ever we've had a deputy chief. So we welcome Ed Griffin, who was raised in LSU, moved to Florida, spent a 30-year stint with the city of Orlando, rising to a chief, no, that's his Air Force career, high into the ranks of the city of Orlando, retired, and then got bored and said, I need to keep doing it, or something like that. And so when we had an opportunity, he applied, and we are really pleased to welcome him to the team. Chief Ed Griffin, if I can bring him up real quick.
Come on down, sir.
And he's prepared a 20-slide presentation.
Right. Commissioners, I believe I met you guys all before the meeting. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Excited to be here, guys, so bear with me. Questions for me? Anything?
What's the conversion time?
It's conversion to...
Gators?
Right. I thought we don't talk politics in here, right? Right.
Welcome aboard,
Well, thank you, guys. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce another team member, our new Director of Recreation. That's Rod Clark. Rod, if you'd stand up, maybe come down and walk down. So I think Rod has already converted to being a Gator lover, if I understand correctly, but Rod's college days were spent at the University of Miami, but before you get too excited, it was Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
So he moved forward in the applicant stat when we realized.
Quarterbacks came out of the University of Miami.
There you go. There you go. So Rod's had a long career in recreation. He's with the city of Gainesville for a number of years, and then most recently with Santa Fe College, where he served as their assistant director of athletics. So he joins us and is already a Newberry resident. Lives in Avalon Woods with his family. He's got a great family, and so we welcome him to the team. Excited about the things he's going to be doing for us in recreation. Rod Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, everybody in respective places. I'm happy to be here. I want to say thank you to the residents of the city of Newberry for welcoming me and my family. Thanks to the employees of the city. They've been nice and professional and very helpful today, with this being my first day. So I'm excited and ready to get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
Well, welcome, Mr. Clark. I was kidding with you earlier on, but, Travis Parker, our outgoing Parks and Rec director, has been amazing. So you got some big shoes to fill, but I know that you will be up to the task, and you've got Travis there. But we have a wonderful community when it comes to Parks and Rec. We care about our kids, and we invest and pour into their lives. So thank you for joining the team. We appreciate it. All right, that takes us to Project 145, Run with Purpose, an inaugural 5K run. We have Mr. Eastridge. Come on down. Miss Eastridge.
Well, good evening. Almost good morning. So I come to you tonight as Amanda, a board member of Project 145, and I wanted to introduce you to my good friend Taylor, who is the co-founder.
Can you make sure your microphone is on there? Is it green down there at the bottom? Mike might have turned it off when he left.
Thanks. So Amanda Hagan, I am the board member of Project 145, and I come to you tonight joyfully to introduce you to my good friend Taylor. She is the co-founder of Project 145 and a survivor of a TBI. And so tonight she's going to share her story and kind of share what Project 145 is about and what we're hoping to do for the community.
Welcome, Ms. Eastridge. I'm so excited for you to share your story.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I also graduated from FSU, so go Noles.
Oh, it's okay. We'll give you a pass.
Yes, but I'm from Alachua, Florida. Alachua, Florida. Born and raised here. Let me think. I grew up, I currently live just west in between Newberry and Trenton, and I used to work at Brady Credit Union as a business analyst. But yeah, I'm from this area. Now I teach economics at Santa Fe. So, yes.
All right. Fellow teacher.
Yes, but unfortunately, so it was in 2022, I was going to get my girls from daycare that day, and it was raining really bad. It was June 24th, and it was raining so bad that my car ended up hydroplaning into apparently it was an concrete electricity bulb. I thought it was wood, but apparently it's concrete. So the firefighters, they got something new.
Jaws of life.
They saved my life. Like, they ended up getting something new, and I think I was the first one that they used it on, maybe.
I think it was the first week we owned it.
Maybe. Well, whatever the surgeon was that that performed my surgery, he told my husband if she was like 7 minutes later, she would not have survived. So I think that's crazy. I just think it's crazy. But I had a really bad accident that day because of raining. But I wanted to say thank you to the firefighters because honestly, they saved my life. I'm just so thankful for the fire department. I'm just so thankful. So on the 1 year anniversary of my accident, I brought them cookies just to tell them how thankful I am. So that's basically what they had.
Cookies always say thank you. Cookies always say thank you.
Yes. Apparently. But yes, when I was in Sheehan's, my nurse apparently had a really traumatic injury, so I ended up being diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. And what's crazy is like TBIs are so common, especially in the military. I think TBIs are like the most, I think most
Frequent.
people have TBIs, most common injury. And what's crazy is now I teach at Santa Fe, and I have last semester I had somebody, he was in the military, and he was like, oh yeah, I used to do planes or something, I have 5 TBIs. Like, he was very familiar with that. What's crazy is one common symptom of a TBI is tinnitus, where you only hear out of one ear. There's a constant ringing out of the other ear. And so I asked him, I was like, is this normal? And he was like, oh yeah, I had the same issue. So honestly, it was good for me to know it wasn't making things up. So I started a nonprofit, Project 145, to raise I know how expensive things can be. I think when I was in the hospital last couple years, 2 years ago, I think my initial surgery cost was $82,000. Fortunately, insurance kicked in, but I was left with the bill of like $11,000, somewhere around there. But that was just my initial cost. Then I had tons of like medical expenses after that. And honestly, I didn't wake up at Sheehan, so I was transferred to Shepherd, a hospital in Atlanta. So then I had medical expenses, rental expenses, out the wazoo. So I know how expensive things can be. So I started a nonprofit to hopefully raise funds so somebody recovering from a traumatic injury can get the best care possible despite the cost. So I want them just to not be, I really want them to get that. So my nonprofit is hosting a 5K just to raise awareness for traumatic injuries. And our 5K is called Run with Purpose. So the goal is to just raise awareness, and it's actually on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. That's the only way that I remember it. But yes, this year at the Easton Center. So, yeah.
Well, that's amazing, and we appreciate you turning your tragedy into a charity event to raise awareness for everybody. Thank you to the fire department for your quick response and saving, and thank you for the commission for funding the fire department and their needs so that they could go with that equipment. And we are also grateful that you made it out of that alive and that you're here standing before us today doing the work that you're doing. So I'm sorry about the cost, because those are tremendous, but I'm glad that you can be here telling us about how expensive that is, because that's better than the alternative.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Commissioners, anybody?
What was the race again?
The race, May the 4th be with you. May 4th.
Paid for.
He's not
Yes.
Star Wars fan.
What's crazy is I was like, after the race, I'm going to go home and turn on Star Wars.
There you go. And thank you for the cookies.
It's at Easton Sports Park, and it's project145.org.
Yes.
If you want any more information, and there's also QR code directly on the website.
So
So
we've got that on Easton's website and the city website. You can put it on the mayor's corner if you want to help spread aware and all those
Thank you.
kind of things. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Lee, you want to join us and tell us about the National Community Survey?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners. As part of your adopted budget and as part of your strategic plan, you included funding for us to do a community survey. So I'm happy to announce that we'll be starting the community survey in May. It'll run from May 1st through May 31st. It is a survey that hits on all aspects of our community, from businesses to public safety to infrastructure, recreation, working with the city, customer service. So we're just trying to get the information out there. The survey is actually live right now, so if you want to take it, you can use this QR code. We'll be putting information on our website and Facebook and doing mailers. So if you get any phone calls or questions about it, it is a totally legitimate survey. Should take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. We're trying to get as much participation as possible so that we can have those results back in June for our budgeting process. So I just want to give you guys a heads up that that'll be coming out soon.
And you said that's going out in the utility bills too, or is it just
We'll be
going out
doing
digitally?
a utility bill mailer, a postcard mailer. We're going to try and blast it as much as we can.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for that update. Ladies and gentlemen, your commission likes to hear from the public frequently and often, so they set aside a 2-minute opportunity for public announcement at the beginning of the meeting. If there's something that's not on the agenda that you want to address the commission about, you have the opportunity to do so now. If you want to talk to the commission about something that's not on the agenda item that you need more than 2 minutes, we have another public comment section at the end of the night. You have 5 minutes at that point in time. So anything you want to talk to the commission about right now, 2 minutes, let them know what's going on. Line up. If you need more time, you can wait till the end of the night. Anybody? Come on down, sir. Give us your first and last name for the record, if you would.
My name is Hayden Cano. So I coach in the Naturals organization. I've been a part of the Naturals organization since I was 13, 14 years old. I played baseball with them growing up all the way till I was 18. They gave me an opportunity to go to college ball, play locally here in Santa Fe. I'm very blessed. After I got done with Santa Fe, I got done playing baseball. I had this beautiful young child right here, and I started coaching probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I've had a wonderful opportunity the past 4 or 5 years to impact hundreds, if not thousands of kids, all through this organization, helping kids from 7 to 18 years old, grow into good young men. It's my understanding that the building that we use is trying to be taken from us, for lack of better words, and we're just here tonight, trying to show support and show you guys that we are here to change the community in a positive way. We're trying to impact young men's lives and change them into good young men and show them the way that it needs to be done. And you can see all these beautiful young men we got here, all these people we got to support us, and it's just, it would be a real big injustice if the building was taken from hundreds, 200s, 300 kids, multiple generations, second generation kid, and we're just here to show the support for Cedric Bowers. We're here to show the support for the Pro Ball facility, and we want to continue doing the work that we do and keep impacting these boys in a positive way through that building, through our organization, and continue to grow good young citizens in Newberry. Y'all talk about being very diverse and stuff. You can see we're very diverse. We got white, black, Hispanic, and every single Puerto Rican, Dominican. We speak Spanish to the kids that don't speak English. We're very open. We try and impact every single kid that we can, no matter the race, no matter where you come from, poor, rich, it doesn't matter.
10 seconds to run over, sir.
So that's what we're here tonight for. I really hope you guys listen to us. I hope you guys have open ears. I hope you guys are willing to take in some of the words that are said and see the impact that we make with these kids. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Let me let the attorney weigh in here for 1 second.
Just briefly, just for our commissioners, there has been litigation that's been filed on this matter, so my recommendation to you all would be not to comment on this. The public can speak, but to not comment at this time because we do have active litigation on this matter.
Okay.
How's it going, guys? My name is Denver Ripley. I'm a small town country boy from Williston, Florida. I got around the Naturals baseball organization when I was 13 years old. Just small family, small owned business, pool service is what I know. If I didn't have baseball, I wasn't making it out. Essex knee behind me, right here, Cedric Bowers back there as well. they gave a young kid like me a chance. Got a free ride to go to school because these two guys, they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself when I was 13 years old. So I went on to Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, ended up being the salutatorian of my class, came back to Williston, started coaching with these guys, got around these young kids right here, man, changed my life. Wasn't going down the best of paths when I got out of college, needed something to kind of give me a way. And these guys right here, these young men, they gave me a chance to, see something that I saw, that these guys saw in me when I was coming up. So now I'm back at Williston. I'm the athletic director there. I'm one of our assistant deans at our school. I'm real thankful for this organization. I'm real blessed to be a part of it. And, it's something, man, that it gives this community a great, great, great understanding of what it's like to be diverse, be involved. We get out in the community, we come and support things. So it's just something we'd love to keep going. We love our kids. All of us here that coach, we work hard. These young boys work hard, and they deserve the same chance that I got when I was 13 years old. So thank you.
Thank you. Just to be clear after what the attorney said, because of where it's at, this body's not going to be able to take any action tonight. We're not going to be able to comment tonight. So you're free to make the public comment, but just don't expect that there's going to be Q&A back and forth. I don't want anybody to interpret that they're not listening, but we are where we are at this point in this process. So let's have a couple more comments on this item. Is that what you're here for, sir?
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah, my name is Essex Sneed. I'm the owner of the program, Naturals Baseball. We operate out of that building. The building is really important to us. We come there a couple times a week. We help these young men. We teach them accountability, responsibility, hard work. We check report cards. We have direct dialogue with their parents, how their behavior is at school, out of school. As you guys know, most of the time kids get in trouble when they're idle. We keep them active. We get there early, 5 o'clock. We stay to 8:39. We support the businesses here. We eat. We get gas. We, service the stores. We do a lot in the community. But it's not about us. It's not about me. The parents. It's really about the kids that came in. That's who is really affected. So we understand you can't comment or you can't, dialogue back and forth. But just put it in your mind, though, who is really affected. Taking it away from us, it's not going to affect, but how many generations it's going to affect. Like the first guy came up, I had him when he was 13. Now his kid plays for me. And the other guy, when he have a kid, his kid's going to play for us. So this is really important. Maybe not as important to y'all, but it's a really important matter to us. So thank you guys for listening.
Absolutely.
My name is Christopher Lukert. Thanks for your time tonight, gentlemen. My son started playing baseball with the Pro Ball Elite facility when he was 9 years old. He's 13 now. We've made a lot of improvements over that facility, and we've worked really hard. These kids stand out at Publix and raise all the money that they can. This is not the privileged set of kids that are here, tonight. These are hardworking families. They spend every single dollar that they can to, play baseball. I've been involved in the litigation. We wouldn't be here tonight if Mr. New and Mr. Parker would have worked with us in October. So in my opinion, and the attorneys that I've hired to, represent this organization, the city did not do their due diligence with us. They did not follow their own contract. And there is a lot of leeway to work this out. In my opinion, the city has had no negative effects by some of the things that have happened over there, which is just a lack of the promptness of the taxes. The previous Mr. Spina left this organization without paying the taxes, and Mr. Bowers was stuck paying those taxes. And as he paid the taxes for 17, 18, 19, they got put back to taxes that Mr. Spina was really responsible for. Anyway, I've seen everything. I've seen all the documents, And I hope to God that the city of Newberry will look into this, will read these documents and talk to Mr. Bowers and right the wrong that's being doing to these people. This organization is helping people. It's for underprivileged kids, and these kids are getting good baseball and good ethics out there. So I hope to God that you guys, will look into this, read the contracts, and find out what's going on out there, because Mr. Bowers is getting railroaded by Travis Parker and Mr. New. Thank you.
Let's have a couple more public comments, and then I'll ask everybody else to come to at the end of the night, so we got a lot of other stuff that we got to get on to as well tonight. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Randy Rojas. Jojo is my son. We just had to support Sneed and Bowers. I came, 5 years ago?
Can you speak? Yes,
sorry.
speak into the
5 years
microphone
ago?
facing this way, if you would, sir.
5 years already? I coach. My son also plays. It'd be real sad if this happens to these guys. Hey, Denver, Kano, they played before. My kids played, my oldest played, and accountability is something we teach. They teach. We just follow behind them. And it'll be a tragedy if Pro Bowl was taken from us. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Attorney.
That's all right.
Mayor.
It's fine. I'm masculine enough to be able to answer the matter. Yeah.
I do want to thank you all. I watch all. My name is Garrett Douglas, by the way. I watch all every commission meeting.
That's dedication.
And
because we're pretty
see
bored.
y'all stick out. But I come here with the Naturals organization, Pro Bowl as well. I live here locally. I even coach on the rec side, basketball, and I did baseball. I come here knowing that as a commission, how well y'all are, how diverse y'all are, and how well y'all work with the kids. And I'm telling you, it's the most important thing for these kids. My son, he did baseball, t-ball. We even played with Commissioner Tony's kids, and it's very good for this community. I know that Pro Bowl and the Naturals will work and collab with the city if y'all allow it. They do good. They are awesome people. They are tough on the kids. Respect is what he preaches, not just baseball. Respect, becoming a man, becoming a woman, making sure you treat your parents with respect. My son goes every day outside. When he's not practicing with them, he's out back because he wants to be a part of the Naturals organization. And it means a lot for him. And I think the 2 years that we've known him has made a great impact. So I hope that everybody can take a look at this and really do the right thing, because I know how much y'all care for the kids. I see it every meeting. And I hope this is the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want one more about this?
Thank you for having us. My name is Steve Arnett. I'm a 35-year resident of Alachua County. I retired from the school board. I taught in education. I had 45 years of teaching. I coached football on all levels, high school, junior college, Division II. I've been involved with a lot of programs. I have a grandson in this program. And I've been around a lot of coaches and I've seen a lot of things. These guys here teach life skills as much as they teach skills. And the kids, they respect them. They would run through a wall for any of these coaches because they know they teach every one of them the same way. And they've had success, tremendous success. And that building over there means a lot to these kids. It's something they can go to, and it reaches kids and gives them a lot of drive to move ahead. for life. And I tell you what, that's something we can't miss with our kids nowadays, especially as our world goes as it is. We need this organization. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw a young man right there. Why don't we let this young man come up and have the last word, and then we're going to move on with the rest of the business of the day. And anybody who still wants to talk, we've got another public comment at the end of the night. Go ahead, young sir. Don't forget to introduce. Well, you're a minor. You do not have to introduce yourself unless you want to.
My name is Zayden Noel, and I'm a part of the Naturals organization. It would be a real tragedy if this building was knocked down, because when we go inside, it's not just a building to us; it's our clubhouse. When we go in, it's a new place. If we get in trouble at school, it's a new place. We get to go in and just have fun. We get coached good. And that's it. I really hope this building stays.
You did great.
I'm Connor Cooley, and I go to the Naturals. I work with the Naturals organization. I started at 10U, and every rain day, on practice, I've been putting in the work there. That's why it helps with us. I mean, it's just the best thing that happened with the Naturals. That's really it.
That's all you got to say. Good job. All right. Thank you so much. Is there any other public comment for a different issue? Anybody have been waiting to make an announcement? You got a garage sale happening this weekend? Anything like that? Okay, anybody that wants to stay to the end of the night, you got 5 minutes there. If there are no more public announcements, we're going to move on. It won't take us long to get there. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was published?
Motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Maison, second from Commissioner Coleman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That's going to take us to the legislative and second hearing of ordinance 2024-13. I do want to note a Scrivener's error. I think in just the one that was published here, it was published as 214-13. Minor error didn't go up on the website. And Mr. Lee, you're going to come back and lead us through this?
Yes, sir,
Go
Mr.
right
Mayor.
ahead. Yeah, just pause for.
Have a cookie.
Yeah, have a cookie, yeah. As long as it's not Laffy Taffy, right? You can.
That would be embarrassing.
Right. Yeah. The firemen left without their cookies? Well, that means that we have to eat them all. That's what happens when you take your time. All right, Mr. Lee, take it away.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. As you mentioned, this is the second reading of the surplus funds investment policy that the Commission approved upon first reading last meeting. I won't go into too much detail unless the Commission would like me to or has any questions, but just as a reminder, this is codifying our existing investment policy into our ordinances in order to make ourselves look better for our public offering bonds that are going out in May. So, if there are no questions?
Any new questions between first and second reading? No? Okay, do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, a second from Commissioner Clark. Do I need to do a roll call? No? Any comments, questions, motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Chief, are you shutting those doors for me? You're ahead of the game. Thank you, sir. All right, that takes us to Resolution 20. I'm sorry, did we read that ordinance into the record?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. Can we back up 1 second? Madam Attorney, would you please read? I went straight to the Scrivener's error, and that threw everybody off. I apologize.
Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance 2024-13, an ordinance of the City Commission of Newberry, Florida, providing regulations regarding the permitted investment of surplus funds and authorizing the adoption of an investment procedures, creating Section 2-121 of the City of Newberry Code of Ordinances regarding permitted investment of surplus funds, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Maison made the motion. He just left. You made the motion? Okay, Commissioner Martin made the motion. Do you reiterate your motion?
So moved. Second.
I get the second, so I got the motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. With Commissioner Maison out of the room, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously 4-0. That will move us to item 11, Resolution 2024-13. Madam Attorney, let's do the resolution first, so I don't forget it this time.
This is Resolution 2024-13, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, authorizing the issuance by the city of not exceeding $20 million in principal amount of its water and sewer utility revolving credit bond, Series 2024, to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, and equipping of improvements to the city's water and sewer system, pledging the security to pay the Series 2024 bond, authorizing the award of the sale of the Series 2024 bond upon compliance with certain parameters, authorizing the execution and delivery of the form of attached revolving credit agreement between the city and the purchaser of the Series 2024 bond, providing for repeal of inconsistent provisions, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Mr. Lee.
Mr. Mayor and City Commission, as you're aware, we're nearing the beginning of construction of our water and wastewater, or of our wastewater treatment plant. We are funding that project through various grants and loans. Those grants and loans are all reimbursement-based. After we've made payment to our contractor, the city can then request reimbursement from those funding agencies. This will require the city to float cash between the payment to the contractor and reimbursement back to the city for 60 to 90 days. DEP is getting slower and slower in processing our reimbursements. The city does not have sufficient cash on hand to float several $1 million. We're projecting upwards of $10 million.
What have you been doing over there, Dallas? Come on.
Sorry. We can always raise rates or taxes.
Don't even joke.
So we need to issue a line of credit to cover that gap between the payment and the reimbursement. We worked with our financial advisor, Public Finance Management, or PFM, to issue an RFP for a line of credit. We received two proposals, one from Seacoast Bank, Mr. Dwayne Bush, who knows Commissioner Coleman, and one from Truist. After reviewing both of them, it was determined that Seacoast Bank offered a more competitive package. It has a lower interest rate in the years 2 and 3. It also has lower issuance cost. And then the biggest savings to the city is Truist was planning to charge a unutilization fee for any funds that we did not draw down. They charge us for that. Seacoast waived that for us. That's about $30,000 savings just on that aspect alone. So to discuss how this financing is proposed to work.
But Dallas, just to be clear, you're recommending Seacoast not because Commissioner Coleman
Correct.
knows.
Seacoast is the more favorable loan.
Just
to the
making
city.
sure. We've been recently under a lot of scrutiny, so I want to make sure
I found this out after we
that we are
picked Seacoast
not
as well.
misleading anyone by offhand comments.
Yes, vote no.
Found out that Dwayne knew Mr. Coleman after we had picked Seacoast.
Always good facts.
So just to give the commission a rundown of how the money is going to flow, we will receive the invoice from the contractor. If you do a rough estimate of the cost, that invoice could be anywhere from $2.5 to $10 million for a month. We will process that invoice. Jamie and his team will review it. Myself and my team will review it. Our engineers will review it, and our construction auditors will review it before we make payment. Once we make payment, we'll immediately draw down funds from Seacoast Bank to have the funds available to make that payment. Then we will turn around and ask for reimbursement from either the granting agency or the SRF loan program. Once we get our reimbursement from the SRF or the loan program, we will then turn around and pay off the line of credit that we drew down originally. So we anticipate a small amount of interest for this, but it'll cover our gap while we're building the wastewater treatment plant. So, Mr. Mayor, that's my presentation. I can go into more detail if you have any questions, but we are asking for your authorization to for this resolution and to execute the loan documents this evening.
And Dallas, or Mike, in the back recesses of my brain, there was state or federal legislation that specifically spoke to when the higher government was slow and costing the lower government money and going out and having to borrow money because they took so much time, that the state or the federal government would reimburse us that. Did that that pass, is that in effect? Are we just going to be on the hook for the interest? Because
Mr. Mayor, I believe what you may be recalling is there was legislation that if we had to take out a line of credit for a state of emergency, and we've been waiting on FEMA reimbursement.
Just FEMA.
We could get the interest. I'm not sure if that bill passed. We could theoretically request reimbursement for the interest on this project. However, that's a complicated process to go through.
It would take about 10 years to get the money back.
It would take about 10 years, and because we don't have enough grants to pay for the project, if I take interest out of the grant, then I'm just paying cash for a different portion of the project. So the city would pay the interest out of its cash reserves.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Martin?
Dallas, have we run this through or need to run it through DEP at all? Are they aware of what we're doing?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. DEP
has become common.
DEP is intimately involved in this, mostly because DEP will not take a secondary place to any other liens. So we've had to get DEP's approval to issue this loan because they have first pledge on our revenues in the Water Wastewater Department. So to answer your question, yes, DEP is very involved. DEP is used to it because almost everybody who's going through this kind of a project is having to issue some sort of line of credit like this.
Other questions from the guys? Okay, seeing no questions, I'll have a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Coleman, second from Commissioner Martin. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. It's going to take us to the zoning in progress big box retail. This is first reading, so we'll take a little bit more time. Madam Attorney, would you please read on first reading ordinance 2024-15/LDR 24-10, and I will note it's not quite a Scrivener's error, but we had originally published this as being presented by Brian Thomas. Obviously, you're not Brian Thomas, so thank you, John Paul, for being here to present this to us. Take it. I'm sorry. Ordinance first.
This is ordinance number 2024-15, an ordinance of the City of Newberry establishing zoning in progress for the construction of large-scale retail establishments, providing for stay-on applications, providing for conflict, and providing an effective date.
All right, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Paul Perez, Planning and Economic Development Department. There was a presentation to the City Commission on March 11th about big box retail. The Planning and Economic Development Department hasn't put together an ordinance for the Commission to adopt yet. To close the gap between when that ordinance is ready and today, we're proposing a zoning in progress ordinance. Zoning in progress lets the development community know and our citizens know that the Commission is actively looking at big box retail regulations. They intend on adopting some form of those regulations. However, those haven't been finalized yet. So that's why we're here today, just to put a hold on any sort of applications that do come in or may come in before the second reading, so that we are able to formulate those regulations and apply them as they come up. So the impacts that we've identified are compatibility with the community, compatibility with the built environment, compatibility with the will and wish of the community, context within the city. Since we don't have large retail locations currently, how would those manifest in our community that would reflect our values, et cetera. And also aesthetics and scale. So how are these physically being incorporated into, the goals, objectives, and policies that the Commission adopted as part of their strategic plan. And small scale or small town character is something that is not only repeated in the comprehensive plan, it's reiterated in the strategic plan. It's something that shows up on the city website. It's whenever we do any sort of feedback session with the community, small town is kind of like a leading part of that conversation. And so it's a big part of what the community values about the city of Newberry, and oftentimes big box can be the antithesis to that. It can close the small businesses. It can change the focus of a community from the downtown to somewhere outside of the downtown. So there's effects and regulations we're looking at. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Let Commissioner Coleman ask a question.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, John Paul, at 80,000 square foot, so just help me, is that a Home Depot or Lowe's or?
You would capture Home Depot and Lowe's, just as an example, the Publix that's coming in total, it's about 72,000 square feet with the commercial bays that are adjacent to it, but the store itself, I believe, is around like 59,000 square feet. And so it wouldn't include a store the size, and that's the largest Publix in the county of Alachua. So the largest Publix in the county of Alachua would not be excluded from this regulation. So they could still come in. You would be looking at maybe Targets and Walmarts that not only do the... yes, so they do multiple services inside these stores, not only groceries, but they do clothing and sporting goods, automotive. So the larger format stores that have more services and goods for the community, not your smaller, if it's just like the retail clothing and sporting good type of Walmart, that would be something you would probably see come in and be acceptable.
But the other question is, like, I know this is a bad word, but like a strip mall, is that all inclusive? You know what I'm saying? Is there, if you have 14 different businesses in one strip mall, is
each one separate?
Is each one separate, or would it all be inclusive there? Would it?
Good question. So no, it wouldn't. It would be just single-tenant buildings or single-tenant bays that we would be looking at specifically. So any single tenant that occupies more than 80,000 square feet, that's where we're going to draw the line and say, hey, we have another set of regulations that we need to look at when reviewing this application for compliance with the code. So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, I also would point out that this is intended to be temporary in nature while the commission considers and discusses a proposed ordinance, and there's no obligation. After a discussion, the commission could say, we're happy, there's nothing to be adopted, and we'll just repeal this. But this gives the commission the flexibility, buy a little time and not get pressured by an application that's come in, and we feel like we're a little ill-prepared for it.
John Paul, remind me, what was the zoning that Publix came in at? Because I found that process, everyone was very receptive to, we want more landscaping. Was that because of the the overlay district, or was that because of the zoning package that we had? Because this whole time I've had kind of the same question that Commissioner Coleman did. You know, if you put a square footage limit, well, then everybody starts playing with that limit. Well, I'm not 80, I'm 79, right? So I don't have to do those things. Or I'm a strip mall. I'm a big box strip mall mix, right? What did Publix come in with? What did they use? Do you remember?
Square footage?
Or zoning package?
Oh, okay. So they are zoned commercial intensive or commercial automotive on that particular piece of land. Automotive is the name attached to it, but it's like a more intense commercial district.
So their willingness to have the upgraded landscaping packages and all that was just of everybody's goodwill with each other?
The Publix came in prior to the adoption of the overlay. They were, had a semi-final form of it.
We had rejected it, though.
Correct, yeah. We hadn't formally adopted it yet, and they were willing to be good partners and adhere with the proposed ordinance. We did review it with the language that we had, just to ensure it would be compliant with what we understood to be the final form of that ordinance. And so, it was a partnership and a good faith effort on Public's part to say, hey, we understand that you haven't adopted these yet, but we will work with you. That's not always the case in every community, but in this particular case, Public's being like a Florida corporation and just reaching out to new communities. This is not a community that they've been in yet, so definitely a good partner, good first step in a relationship.
Dick, are you done? I mean, I'm not rushing you.
I want to go through a little bit more stuff, but
Well, what I want to say is, how quick are we going to get our process done? Because we're just adding layers here, and like Mike said, this is just really putting somebody on notice instead of adopting it. How quick are we going to get there?
So on this slide here, the what is zoning? So zoning in progress is just a temporary thing. This is going to last 6 months. It's going to automatically expire. We can extend it. Say we reach the 6-month mark and we're not ready with those regulations, and we're going to probably be engaging the commission before we come to bring that ordinance formally. But 6 months is what we're looking at to have something ready for adoption.
Well, the answer to that question really depends on you guys, because when we talked about this before, I heard everything from don't let big box at all, right? It destroys the community, all the way to upscale, make it look nice, but let it come in. So it's going to be, how long does it take to get some consensus built up here about what the goal is?
Mr. Mayor, what I'm writing in my mindset, it looks like we've already had that discussion with the landowners. They're buying up our land for this particular purpose, so we know coming down the pike, the train's coming. So my question is, this does put a stopgap in between us, but it's going to take 6 months to get before us so we can put some in place, so if they do want to come to town, they either meet the criteria or they go away.
That sounds accurate to me. Yes.
6
I mean,
months.
the only thing I would disagree there is if you guys give feedback to staff and say, we want to allow it, but it has to be upscale, right? We want it to be very nice. That's real easy. If you, and y'all all agree, if you guys say, we will only allow it in certain areas of town.
Correct.
It depends on how much research you ask them to do. So I think what I hear is staff is saying it's going to take about 6 months to build consensus up here. And really, that depends on you. We can build
Well, that ain't the
consensus
consistency. This is more for me is what it's going to look like, where it's going to be, when we're going to have the community involvement. We talked about all those things prior to this, before we ever even tell them they can come. So I reckon I'm confused now that you brought that back up. Is this where we're playing a game that we're either going to allow them or not allow them?
That's the
Not at all.
This is
What I heard when we first talked about it was one commissioner saying, they destroy the community, right?
Well, that's what we're
I'm
talking
talking about not their consensus. I'm talking about
Yeah.
our consensus.
Yeah.
Where we want to direct them to go to. So we can call workshops immediately, because I think we're still in the everything from not allowing it to what is the scale that we want to allow it under to the location that we want to allow it under. So I think this is a good stopgap measure because we have such a vast array of thought up here. Commissioner Coleman?
Well, with this, I'm just going to use an example. I don't want to lose if UPS came here and said we want a huge warehouse here and then started employing people here.
Right.
I don't want to lose something that's not even a box store. I mean, a big box, they mean anything big box, right? So, like a warehouse, you know what I'm saying? It's
I would think a warehouse is
FedEx, or whatever.
That falls under that industrial retail.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're talking about big box retail.
Retail.
Not distribution.
Okay, that's.
But see, those are the kinds of questions that I think we
We
should
need to get.
need to get figured out, because I agree with you. If it's a distribution center and we're talking about $60,000, $100,000, $20,000 jobs, we're going to let that go somewhere. If we're talking about a Walmart, right at our city entrance, and that's why I was asking about the zoning, because, we have PDs. I don't know if we can just make everything a PD, and that allows us to have more of a conversation with the application. I've never seen us do a PD when it wasn't residential, commercial, all mixed together. But there's some, in my mind, this is about flexibility, right? I don't want to say no to anybody. There's certain locations where I think aren't great, and there's a scale that I think we want to hit, right? So maybe we should just pass this tonight, but let's go ahead and schedule a workshop where we can hash all these things out. Commissioner Martin?
not to wet blanket the conversation, but feel like we're getting out in front of the conversation we're supposed to be having, which is, do we want to get something temporary to get the public aware that we are going to be having the more detailed conversation in the future? Do we want to put them on notice? That's all we're doing tonight right now.
Nailed it. Yes.
But the question of how long is the notice going to last, right? That's how we got into this. And I think 6 months is probably a pretty good bet.
So we are, ready to come back with more details on possible options. We are at first reading with this particular ordinance of 80,000 is not a number that the commission feels is appropriate. We can always adjust that higher or lower. 80,000 is kind of in between hitting those larger ones, but not being prohibited for the smaller ones that may want to come in. It gives us 6 months to develop these, to have the meetings, to have the conversations, to identify what the appropriate zoning package would be for a large-scale retail establishment. And so this is just the first step to say, hold on, wait, we need to have a little conversation first. Then you can come in with everything that you got. So that's where we are currently. So more to come. So don't fret. In fact, this is only a first reading for this ordinance, so you're going to see this one again, unfortunately. But that'll be May 13th, I believe. Alachua County has adopted regulations for small scale or for large scale retail. The city manager informed me today that the city of Alachua also has adopted large-scale retail establishments. Each one has set their stick in the mud in a different place. So we've picked 80,000. Alachua County picked 100,000. City of Alachua has picked 20,000. So it all depends on what we're looking at and where we want to. Yeah, certainly. And they treat it as a special exception. City of Gainesville treats it as a planned development. So there is that opportunity to customize each site to be specific for the user that's going to be incorporating themselves into the community. So I don't want to belabor the point too much, but yeah, 6 months automatically expires. So if we don't do anything, it just goes back to what we have currently today. Nothing changes. If we do decide to adopt something, then and it's not ready at the 6-month mark, we can choose to extend it, but it's only valid until we do something about it or do nothing about it. So whichever comes first. If we let it expire, it just goes back to what it was. Say we adopt something, we know what we want to adopt it in June, this zoning in progress goes away. So that's just written into the ordinance, is how it works. So whatever comes first is how it will function. We are recommending approval of this ordinance just to stay on applications for first reading. We'll come back with second reading. Unless there's any changes to the ordinance, we won't be presenting too many details at the second reading. And if approved, correct, forgive my correction, but not May 13th, but May 27th, we'll be coming back with second reading, okay?
Questions? Commissioner Farnsworth.
Yeah, I thought the purpose of the overlay district was to take care of this kind of thing. I didn't, and the businesses could bring their proposals to the commission and we make a decision on it. So is this
overlay district only extends 500 feet back from our main corridor, so this would cover anywhere in town.
There's no place really in downtown Newberry that you're going to be able to put a 100,000 square foot establishment that I'm aware of.
Not in downtown, but on the corridors. So the first 500 feet off of the corridor, the overlay district would, but then that could just be like the parking lot, and then the big box is right off of that. So that's the overlay district, just 500 feet line of sight visibility. This would be anywhere in Newberry. This would cover if you want to put a 100,000, 8,000 square foot facility.
Yeah, I'm just kind of leery. I don't want to discourage businesses for coming in here, especially when they're able to create a large amount of jobs for the local people. So
that's the point I was making too, but I understand now.
Yeah. Well.
Mr. Mayor, with regards to timing, I can think of no instance in the last 20 years that any retail establishment, large or small, could identify a piece of land, do the due diligence. They won't write a check. They'll enter into a contract that says we're going to explore this for 90 to 180 days. If everything looks good, then we'll close on it and finish the surveying and do all those things and get a site plan in front of a planning and zoning board. I don't know of any one of those that go in less than 6 months. I think the risk of somebody holding getting held up because of this is very, very low. But as John Paul indicated, this is just putting everybody on notice that the commission is going to have a conversation. It is not intended, if it were intended to disrupt something, we would have proposed a moratorium. We do not intend to disrupt anything, but more publicly notify people that we're going to have a conversation, and there may or may not be regulation that comes out of it.
I'm going to come back to Commissioner Martin in a second, but to stay on this topic, because I guess my only question, I'm kind of vanilla on this because it's 6 months, I don't think anything can happen, but in the most recent comparison, the overlay district, we didn't pass a zoning in progress. We just told everybody, hey, we're working on this. So what is there a legal need at this point that we'd have to pass? Basically saying, because, a couple of years ago, we just called over and say, look, we're working on an overlay district.
Yeah.
Proceed at your own risk. This is what we think it's going to be, but it could be more. So I guess that's, what has changed that we feel like we need an institutional ordinance to accomplish the same thing?
Mr. Mayor, I'll tell you that the conversations that I was sitting in with our staff team was, hey, we're telling people, word of mouth, but
they're pushing back.
The best practices in planning are that we should have done this. So, there's a risk that when you're asking people to be good partners, that they say, yeah, that's not what we're about. We're coming, and we're cramming this thing straight down your throat, Newberry. We don't typically entertain that or encounter that, but it could happen. So, when we did the overlay district, it was mentioned by staff that were up to speed on the best practices that we should have asked the commission to consider this, and we kind of pledged to, well, next time we do something like that, we will ask the commission to consider it.
All right, Commissioner Martin.
I'll certainly listen to the will of the commission, but the thought came to me of whether or not we put it in place and have it expire when we actually have a replacement in place versus just letting it sunset in 6 months where we potentially are playing chicken with somebody or something like that. So I don't know if that
sounds
something
like
for
this is
something for discussion
as well.
well.
Until we pass something else. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. That sounds more logical to me. It's at the end of every ordinance, we say this supersedes every other ordinance that pertains to this. So just pass it, and then when you pass an ordinance, it automatically replaces this ordinance. That way we don't have to come back and do this again.
So I'm willing to make a motion to that effect with the expiration being at such time we have a replacement ordinance.
We have a motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Maison. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Commissioner Farnsworth.
So if a business was going to build a 120,000 square foot facility here in Newberry, and we put in an ordinance and that adds some restrictions on it regarding that size, they could say, well, we decided to build a 70,000 square foot instead of 120. So I'm kind of leery. Is there a big box business that is making any kind of proposals to the
The planning department has not received any applications at this time for a retail establishment greater than 80,000 square feet.
Okay.
Do we have to put a square footage on?
It helps narrow it. Typically, zoning in progress ordinances actually throw in some contemplated regulations as well. So if you weren't just going to put a hold on applications, you could actually start to administer some of those concrete regulations that you were looking to establish. So.
But to Commissioner Martin's point, those are all great questions and comments when we have the workshop.
Correct, yes.
to figure it
that's
out.
part of the conversation that we're going to be having. Is 80,000 even a good number?
Right.
Mr. Mayor,
and I don't want to go down that path tonight.
Well, it's on there tonight. If you make the motion, it's on here.
To that specific
Just as a
question,
temporary.
Alachua has decided big box starts at 20,000 square feet. Alachua County has decided it starts at 100,000 square foot. Staff recommends that we identify the square footage that the commission would like to say we're going to be having a conversation about.
Yeah. What kind of regulations does the Alachua County and Alachua have in regards to the big box buildings?
Can we wait for those? Because tonight is just a timeout to say people, it's rezoning. All of those, I think that's going to be a 2-hour workshop because I got a lot of questions and concerns about this myself on both ends, right? But all we're doing tonight is saying zoning in progress.
And I will email you those regulations tomorrow morning. They're comprehensive,
This
but
don't stop nothing.
it's nothing, it's 5 pages worth of reading, so we'll get those to you.
We have a second reading on just the timeout.
No, do we have a second of the motion?
We did. You made the motion, Commissioner Maison made the second, right?
She read it in.
And you read it in. Any other comments on the timeout motion on the floor?
No, sir.
Public comments on the timeout motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Commissioner Coleman?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
No.
Commissioner Martin? Commissioner Maison? Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Farnsworth in dissent. That's going to move us, did somebody say my name? No?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, it's going to move us to first agenda item, Newberry Commission, Alachua County Board of Commissioners, joint meeting discussion topics and location. I'm going to make a pitch for a one-item meeting because I think that will still take 3 hours. So, I don't care. Just one item, right? One item. Go ahead, Mike. Tell us what you're going to suggest.
Mr. Mayor, we identified 4 potential discussion topics.
Is that you and the county identified together, or we got 4 on ours? Because that's where it always comes into a problem. We went from 4 or 5 each down to 3 each down to 1 each. So when you say we've identified 4, is that just Newberry?
Yes, Newberry staff.
Okay.
And based on feedback from the commission and observations that even when we talk about 3 items each, we'll be there till 3 in the morning. Staff identified, was trying to keep it to one item is thinking is optimal. And we had the Newberry Environmental Park giving a project update on the wastewater plant, which doesn't involve a lot of negotiation. It's just a report. Having a discussion about the proposed rural collection center and hazardous waste collection center, that we have had some conversations and dialogue with them. We've got an interlocal agreement that is probably 90% drafted, but we haven't had any conversations with the county in some while, so I don't know if they intend to move forward. I think the conversation about County Road 337 is probably a stumbling block for that interlocal agreement, but that hasn't come back from the county, so we're just waiting. We could give updates on transportation projects that are receiving Alachua County funding. There was on the consent agenda tonight that the county is providing some funding to us for parking improvements out at Easton. They're providing funding for Southwest 15th Avenue, so we could give an overview to both the commission and the county commission about here are the projects that we requested funding, and the county has graciously agreed, and give everybody a kind of a summary report of the status of those projects. And we could do it for road projects, and we could do it for recreation projects. So that's staff's list of suggested topics, and then whatever the commission's will is. Meeting location, we could do it here. We could do it at Easton again, which is definitely a preference for the BOCC. Or we could use the municipal building. We just frankly need to get Vivid, who helps us with production, get them lined up so that we have all of the AV equipment in place, depending on whatever location our commission would like to have that meeting.
Mike, the rural collection center that's 90% complete, my memory of that was that there was some thought to either trade the property for increasing the timeline of 337 or just sell the property, sell them the 5 acres, whatever they were asking for.
You are correct.
Is that still?
That ball's in county's court. We advised them. The sales price for the land was what we have in it, including, the actual purchase price, the zoning change, and getting the infrastructure to the site. And so we provided them with that information, and they haven't replied they just haven't replied.
I mean, that sounds like the only conversation. The rest of them are updates. Commissioner Coleman?
I'll go ahead and knock this in the butt right now. With all due respect, I'm tired of being the nice guy from now on. I will not be participating in this because I think we should take a year break from this. We played nice guy for a while, and I don't want to be a part of it. I will not be a part of this.
All right. Other thoughts?
I won't be attending.
All right. So one more says that we don't have a quorum.
I would be in favor of Easton. I will attend the meeting, and I would like to just have staff reports and updates on the roads and sports, and that's a pretty vanilla topic. It doesn't really even warrant any discussion from us, other than just receiving a report, if I'm not mistaken. So we can check the box and try to move on. But I mean, to some extent, I'm tired of fighting because it's just getting, we're not getting anywhere with it. So it is what it is at this point.
Before I go to Commissioner Clark, Mike, have we had any word from the county of what they want to discuss? Because if they have 5 items that are pressing, that are deep conversations, that might change the...
No, sir, the county has not given us any topics that they'd like to have a conversation about.
Is that a usual MO from them, or do they usually by this point, they say, hey, we need to talk about X, Y, and Z, or...
Usually by this point, they have suggested an item, but I would tell you that normally at this point, we are working on them with initiatives that we know should come before the commission. Right. And currently...
This year, we don't really have.
No, sir. The only thing that we're currently negotiating with the county on is a fire services agreement, but those negotiations won't conclude in time, and we feel that it's not healthy for negotiations to get 75% through negotiations and then turn it over to elected officials. So we're not recommending that. We'd rather let the fire chiefs get to some conclusion and then present it for a conversation.
Okay. Commissioner Clark.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to throw the ultimate curveball at you. I don't really care one way or the other. I would have the meeting, but I'm going to be on a cruise enjoying somewhere down in the Caribbean. So Mike and I had this conversation today. That week I'm out of here.
Well, here's what I would suggest, because
you ain't got a quorum now.
I don't want to have a meeting to have updates. We have every ability to follow their updates just like they have ours. I would take the tack that, this year, since we're not engaged in any big negotiations, we take the year off, not out of any protest, but just because they've got their projects, we've got our projects, and this year they're not necessarily overlapping. The requirement for the county to meet with the city once a year is just to sort of stay in touch, and I think we do a pretty good job of staying in touch without the use of a meeting, which costs us a pretty good bit to hire the folks to run the AV. I know that Mike is updating Michelle all the time on those road projects. We're very appreciative of their assistance with Easton and 15th, and I'd be happy to send that in an email to everybody without putting everybody through a whole night of meetings. So, Mike, are we required to have a meeting, and we just need to find a new date so we have a quorum, or can we just politely decline the opportunity to have a meeting this year, and we will take them up on it again next year?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of any requirement, any statutory requirement.
Seems like we took a year
to do so
off before.
And Mr. Mayor, I failed to recall that we received a letter from the chair of the county commission. Let me pop it up.
She's on a cruise too.
On February the 19th, and she suggested, oh gosh, is this thing touchscreen? No. She suggested
on it. That's why
that we have discussion updates on thank you. The county has set aside $333,000 and change for wild spaces, public places grant opportunity, and another $333,000 and change for the the infrastructure surtax revenues, and they'd be pleased to hear updates. So they're asking for the updates that Commissioner Martin suggested.
Well, it sounds like we either need to find another date or respond to that email and politely just give the updates via email and say, here's the updates. We are very appreciative of the support. Thoughts? We can't meet if we don't have a quorum, so.
Understood.
We either have to find a new date, and it took quite a while to find that date.
If we're just taking reports and we're not doing anything actionable, can the attorney weigh in on whether a quorum has to actually be present?
If I can turn my microphone on, I absolutely can. In order for you all to have a public meeting and to call the public meeting, you will need a quorum. So not just to vote on things, but to sit as a body.
So I either need one commissioner to reconsider or simply say, hey, we appreciate the invitation, here's the updates, we don't want to put everybody out just for an update. It seems like you only need a meeting when you have to talk, right? When you have something to converse about. I'd be happy to meet one-on-one with any county commissioner and give them all those updates and gratitude for the grant money.
It's our tax money.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful for spending it here in our community.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
So I need some direction from the commission. We want to look for a different date, or do we want to send updates via email?
I mean, it's up to the three that.
Well, Commissioner Clark he's on a cruise, but he is willing to meet.
I refuse to go.
Commissioner Farnsworth, are you just out of town, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not, update by email.
Okay, so I got update by email. You want to wait till you're back in town? See if we can find it?
I'll go to a meeting.
Let's offer it to them. We're happy to provide you that update via email. We have no actionable items to discuss, so we're also graciously willing to forego the opportunity to meet with the county commission live. However, if they feel like it's a live meeting is really appropriate, then we just need to find a new date. Because we have commissioners that
But they
are out
have
of
to bring
town.
the donuts.
But you know what, I'll just say, I mean, we're friends, we're colleagues, but it's our duty to do this. I'll just say that. It's our duty to do this stuff.
You can never give up.
Sitting on this board, it is our duty. So, like I said, I'll have a meeting with them, but we got some grant money Mike's talking about. Those things are still going to help this community.
Yep.
So we need to do whatever we can, regardless of it, to be able to get some of these extra funds to help our community too.
I agree with Commissioner Martin. It's at some point it's tired of fighting, but on the things that we can work well together, we just keep working well together.
Let's try.
All right.
All due respect.
Yeah.
Once again, I love all y'all, but I am not putting myself through what I went through out there at that place again.
You got a weak heart too. You got help.
You're right. You're right. But I'm telling you,
The watermelon?
you know,
Nobody's forcing you to do it, but.
I understand. Okay. Yeah, I won't take it any further. I'm not going through it again.
Okay, so Mike, you'll send an email saying we've got some scheduling conflicts. We're happy to give you those updates since there's no actionable items from our board or your board. We don't want to put everybody through a meeting to just listen to updates. However, if they really do want to, we just need a new date.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.
That's going to take us to city comments. Mr. Manager, you're back.
Thank you,
But you
Mr.
can
Mayor.
really sit down, man.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to Commissioners Coleman, Clark, and Farnsworth on being reelected, and look forward to another 2-year cycle working with you guys. Mr. Mayor, staff anticipates that we're going to try to schedule a special meeting for Tuesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. Here. It's a planning item coming forward as the site development plan for the Newberry Plaza development. That there's some urgency on their part. They're kind of facing some issues that warrant some urgency, and so that when we agreed with them to try to make it happen on the 7th, we thought that the 13th meeting was going to be a joint commission, and that would push them all the way out to late May. So we agreed to have that conversation tonight and see if the commission could convene for a special meeting on Tuesday the 7th. at minimum, will you guys clear your calendars? They have some information to provide to the city, so whether it happens on the 7th or not is one, is the commission willing, but two, are they getting the information that we need to complete review of their application so that we can be ready to go on the 7th?
I have a tennis banquet on the 7th. But the pro tem could certainly chair that meeting.
What is that?
I had a tentative work in Pensacola, 7th, 8th. I can try to reschedule my Pensacola.
Are they available on the 9th, Thursday?
Yeah.
Are you back by the 9th?
Well, I'm deleting what I had there because I know that's not happening.
Or do you want Randy to send out a doodle poll so we can not do this on the dais?
We'll get a doodle poll out, but also I think that the 13th, the following Monday, is now open. This afternoon it wasn't open. So
Let's just go back to the 13th.
Which is our regular meeting anyway.
Right.
It's a regular scheduled meeting, so hopefully
We
y'all
get business.
won't have too many conflicts.
If it's the 13th, we're good to go.
So just he'll be out of town.
Yeah.
Commissioner Clark will be out of town on the 13th.
Right.
Right?
Do you want to be here for that?
Actually, I think that might work anyway. I'll leave it at that. I think that might work anyway.
I'm good for either day.
Okay. So
I can keep my Pensacola?
if the 13th works for 4, right? You can keep your Pensacola date. I can keep the tennis banquet date.
Correct.
And then we can go ahead and put other items of business on that agenda item as well.
Correct.
For 13th. Okay.
For the regularly scheduled 13th.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just a reminder to the commission and the community that the Great American Cleanup activities are going on this week. So this weekend, the regular trash and tire collection out at the yard will be going. We'll also have household hazardous waste out at the yard from 8 to 2. So it'll be Saturday from 8 to 5 for trash and tires. It'll be 8 to 2 for hazardous waste. That's where we'll bring in the hazardous waste trailer that the county provides to us at no charge and be there for residents to drop off those materials. And then beginning next Monday, we're going to have an amnesty day on yard debris. So we won't be measuring, although we won't be picking up entire trees as a whole. They do have to be cut up, but we're going to try to do a citywide cleanup on on yard waste all of next week. So get it out to the curb. Normally what happens is the people see the trucks and the pickups, and after we go by, we get a call back and say, hey, we put our stuff out, come get it, and we make 2 or 3 passes through the city before we're ever finished with that initiative. Mr. Mayor, I want to recognize and congratulate Dallas Lee, Assistant City Manager, who just completed his master's degree in public administration from that prestigious university in Tallahassee, ranked #1 in the world.
I'm not sure there is one, but
Highest ranked for degrees in public administration, not highest ranked in the world. I may be stretching it a tad, but it's pretty doggone high. Definitely #1 ranked in the U.S. for public administration. So Dallas has put together a lot of work over the last 2 to 3 years getting that degree, and want to congratulate him.
you valedictorian, Dallas?
It was that close, though. And Mr. Mayor, finally, I will be out of the office on Wednesday and Thursday, but I am available. I'll be in town, so if something comes up and you want to have a telephone conversation or just stop by the house, that's where you can find me. That concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Madam Attorney? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything, but are you going to put on West Fest or?
Am I going to report on West Fest? I completely slipped my mind. And my apologies. Mr. Mayor, I will report that we had our biggest and by far our best West Fest. We had our best music lineup that we've had. It was professionally done, great musicians from 3 o'clock till all the food vendors sold out. They were, and there have been some years where I had to go apologize to everybody because they didn't have hardly any sales. they had hardly any sales. And
We followed.
so we had to apologize. This year, they all sold out. The vendors all want to come back. The crowd was the largest we had. We estimate 2,500 people or so. Got great reports all day long, and just a real successful event. I really appreciate the commission's support. It takes quite a bit of effort on staff's time, but the commission gives us the latitude to have those types of quality events. It's still a pretty good kept secret in Newberry that you get that type of musical entertainment at no additional charge. This is, and just a reminder to the community and the commission, this is not on the taxpayers' back, that it is all sponsored by companies in Gainesville and in Newberry. They write the checks to support this event. It's really a great event. Our staff did an awesome job.
Good catch,
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Coleman?
And I don't see Jamie here, but I was wanting to get an update on 30th Avenue.
Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I can't give the update that Jamie could, and we'll get an email out to you tomorrow, but I will report that we have received most of the responses back. And I'm speaking of 30th on the east side of US 2741. He's compiled that table, and I'll ask him to transmit an email tomorrow that kind of summarizes where we are with the results from the responses.
And before we leave that topic, Mike, I want to revisit, because 30th seemed to be moving along fine when the road itself could replace the section line. Once the decision was made that we had to adhere to the old section line, that's where we seemed to run into some hurdles with the property owners. So maybe get legal to weigh in if there's any latitude, leeway, because I think if we can use the existing road as the section line, I think we may be able to get that project back on track. And I know at the beginning of this, Jamie thought we could, and somewhere he said we couldn't. And I can't quite remember what changed in between. I'm just guessing that legal did weigh in. But if there's any legal creative thinking, I think that would be the way to get that back moving.
And Mr. Mayor, I think it's probably nuances, but the section line is what it is. So there's not multiple section lines, but the existing road, the drivable surface today, isn't on the section line. It meanders back and forth. And there is a possibility to say that the center of the existing road is going to be the center of the new 80-foot right-of-way. Then that means that, and I'm not saying this is inappropriate, but it changes the dialogue because the ask of each property owner is no longer 40 feet from their existing property line. In some cases, a property owner may give it up 5 feet, and his neighbor across the road is giving up 75 feet of property. And that makes it more complicated because what you're asking of everyone is inequitable. And that's what put the skids on it. It's not necessarily a legal hurdle. It was trying to answer the question of equitability.
I need a diagram.
Yes, sir. We're happy to do that. I know I can get I say that all the time. When you're talking in air with no visuals, it gets difficult. But
just before Jamie sends that update, because that was in my 20,000 foot overview of this project, we were going along just fine until somewhere around the section line that was made. So I think if we could go back and think creatively about that, that might get us back on track. And I'll just leave it at that because that will go into another hour-long conversation. Is that it, Commissioner Coleman?
Yeah, that's it.
Commissioner Clark?
Yeah, I'm not going to get in the weeds, but I've talked to Jamie, and there's some other things. He's going to give us a brief anyway coming up in May at some point on roads and things we got coming, so there'll be an update on 30th at the same time. I have nothing more but except for congratulations to the commissioners. Appreciate the board. We got a lot going on in this world, and Israel's at the forefront of it, and hopefully America don't get dragged into this war that with our blood and guts like the rest have done. So, we got people deployed. Iran's acting up like crazy, but we got troops around the world. Just pray for our troops, and God bless America, and God bless Israel.
Is that all your comments?
That's it. You want more? I just want to, I can get on with it now.
Along with the update on 30th, can we get an update on 15th? And that's all I want.
You wanted it right now or in the same email?
Whichever's convenient.
That one's pretty simple, right?
Well, when Jamie's given a presentation, because we know we're getting ready to go into budget season, and we were going to present the commission on all the road projects that are moving forward, we're going to give, a presentation, public presentation in the city commission meeting. Regarding 15th, we are getting the bid documents together. Design drawings are in hand. It's kind of a slow process, but we're there. We're putting bid documents together and trying to get it out for bid as quickly as possible.
Okay, Commissioner Martin?
I thought West Fest was great. I was there for probably good 3 hours of it or so. No, yeah, from about 6 to 9. I thought it was fantastic. And with regards to the Pro Ball, I had a lot of conversation from folks that came in earlier. I just try to keep the commission up to date as much as possible. I know that I have every confidence that the staff will explore every opportunity we have to try to make things right and try to work it out if there is a way of being able to do that. I'm sure that'll happen, but in the event that we start getting questions out in public, just make sure we have the up-to-date info on it.
Hear you loud and clear, and I'll reaffirm the city attorney's recommendation, though, that this has moved on to the litigation stage.
Sure.
And probably keeping public comments to a minimal is advised.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Maison?
I agree with Tim. West Fest was nice. It was great. I was there for about maybe an hour, hour and a half, somewhere around there, and it was the entertainment, and it grows every year. Downtown Main Street Summer Splash Day Block Party. Here are the dates: Friday, June 14th, Friday, July 12th, and Friday, August 9th, from 5 to 7 downtown. What is it? Music, water, games for everyone. And if you're asking for a splash park, Downtown Main Street makes it for you. That's right.
Where is that going to be?
Downtown. Where downtown?
Right there in Pocket Park?
I would assume so. Okay, so look, no cheating, Tim, no cheating. My trivia for the night.
I can't see.
Judy. No.
Don't ask age.
It can't be Judy. It can't be Judy. It'll be our attorney tonight. Were you born before or after the first mobile phone? Drug dealers. When were you born?
See you, Mr. Green.
You're going to say before.
I got to see.
See you, Gabe.
All right, so the first mobile phone, the first presented mobile phone was 1973. The first actual active mobile phone was 1983.
You were really good for your age.
After on both counts.
After on both counts. That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I got a few here. One, I just want to invite everybody May 4th. I think we sent out an invitation, but May 4th. I know there's a 5K, but unfortunately it'll be happening right at the same time. Dudley State Farm has accepted a structure called the Perkins House. It is the last remaining structure that was built by a family who was born enslaved on the Dudley plantation. They've donated it. We've moved that over to the state park. So now when you go, you'll be able to see life during Jim Crow from all different perspectives. The house was moved last week, and May 4th, we're going to have a kind of a ribbon cutting on that, so we invite everybody to come in. It will make Dudley Park the first state park in the state of Florida to officially engage in Truth and Reconciliation. It's a tremendous accomplishment, and we've had a committee working really hard on it. They've raised over $90,000 to move the house, and it's impressive work. And if you ever think that the city of Newberry has red tape bureaucracy, it's only because you have never dealt with the Florida Park Service or the National Park Service, because they set a new bar when it comes to red tape and government control and bureaucracy. It's an astounding level. So that's May 4th, 10 o'clock in the morning. Should be a nice morning. I just wanted to give everybody an update on the charter conversion. I know it's kind of been quiet, and it's been quiet because we're waiting for the Department of Education to interpret the rules. So if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, the community of Newberry put forth an application to call a vote to convert all 3 schools in Newberry to charter schools. The Newberry Elementary School, the vote is so close that we had to go to the Department of Education to get an interpretation of the state statute. So that one has not been called yet. We believe that it has converted, so we're waiting for the Department of Education to weigh in on that. The supervisor election has taken the stand that she was the independent arbiter, but her job was to count the votes, not to interpret the votes. So the Oakview Middle School and the high school decided that this was not the right move for them at this time. But the elementary school, we're still waiting on. I'm sure everybody knows at this point in time, it's been in the paper, but we'd ask for everybody to please pray for the families that have been involved in the tragedies here recently over the weekend. One family in particular has been hit twice now with tragedy, so if you could lift them up in prayer, we would appreciate it. And I think it calls for a little bit of community engagement and thinking, how can we get involved and help turn some kids around and get them engaged in some good positive activities. So might be a great time to get United We Father back up and running and those kinds of things, see if we can't get in and turn folks around. You guys just created a Newberry Historic Association, and we are now taking information. Anybody who wants to join, all you need to do is just let me know. And Dallas, can we put an announcement that if you're interested in that, just put my email in there if they let me know. I'm going to collect emails from folks who want to get engaged for a week or so, and then we'll get everybody together and figure out what that looks like and what our mission statement is and all that kind of good stuff. Commissioner Clark brought it up at the last meeting about the plants and stuff growing out, and I know that we've got some going out of the buildings over here, and I know that we are exploring some possibilities, and I want to put a pitch in at this point in time as we're heading into budget season. I think that now is a really, really good time for us to consider bringing in a CRA director, somebody who can take that on and I don't know if that's a full-time or a part-time, I leave that up to staff's guidance, but I think that we have so much that we want to get done in the CRA that I think asking somebody to wear a third, fourth, fifth, sixth hat to do it is not very effective. So I want to put in my plug for a CRA director. I didn't read his lips. Oh, and with that, we'll call it good. That's my, Commissioner Mazon, go ahead, because we're going to have public comment
Is
after.
there an update on Bev's Burger?
There's a sinkhole.
Parking lot? I know. Is there an update? I know, man, but a good burger will bring the community together.
Yeah. My update from Bev is that she has some relatives that are taking over the management of it, and the sinkhole was just one more added stumbling block. So I think that they'll get the sinkhole figured out as they get the management figured out. I'm going to pull Bev out of retirement and tell her she's got to come. Only Bev can fill the sinkhole and get the management.
Bev can do it.
That's right. Okay. That concludes my comment, public comment, and if Commissioner Coleman has to use the bathroom, please forgive him for his departure. Public comment. Come on down, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Christina Rodriguez.
I'll get you.
I'm close for it. I'm close by it.
Okay. So I wanted to speak tonight on behalf of the Naturals Organization. I know you guys can't speak, so my questions are directed toward you. You said that there's a litigation. Okay. So she said there's a litigation. I want to know what is the case number and when this was filed. Because as far as Cedric knows, Pro Bowl Elite, they don't know about a litigation. So I would like to address someone that could potentially answer that. If I know you said, Commissioner Martin, that this is something you guys can look into, if that can be, passed on to the gentleman that the litigation is being set towards.
And if you leave the contact information, we'll get all that to you.
I will absolutely do that. I appreciate that. I go to school here at FSDJ. Santa Fe. I was a transfer from FSDJ. Go to Santa Fe now. I go to Santa Fe every day. I'm in the hygiene program. I leave there. I go home. I pick up my son, and I come back here. Yes. I do that 2 days a week. You know what? I really thought about it. My husband, he works in Jacksonville, so he drives to Bay Meadows, which is another hour. We drive a lot. This program means a lot to these kids. I really, genuinely hope and pray that you guys find it in your heart to really think about the impact that it's making on these kids. I really genuinely do. Because I love that organization. And I really pray that whatever you guys can do to make it work, you make it happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Come on down, young man.
How old are you, bud?
Help me.
11.
Big old boy.
I get that a lot.
Do you say you're sorry to your mother every birthday?
I'm Bryson Turner, and I had a really rough season, and I came to the Naturals because they believed in me. And when I started doing lessons with SETI, he was the only one that actually believed in me. And ever since, I've grown in baseball so much. And he in this building means so much to me. Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
Okay, buddy. We got it.
Hey guys, my name is Edwin Rodriguez, and this is my first year for the Naturals. Ever since I stepped into the building, it felt like home to me. So I hope y'all could find it in y'all's hearts to keep the building, because it means a lot to me and a lot to everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you.
He looks like a short fella.
Yes,
Any other public comment? Well, we appreciate everybody coming tonight, especially the young people that had courage to stand up and speak their mind. That shows a lot of bravery. Well done. And we are adjourned. Don't go anywhere, fellas. We got one more meeting, except you take a restroom break real quick.
Adjustments meeting, April 22nd, 2024, at 21:05. That's 9:05. Call to order. Can I get a motion of the agenda?
I'm recording.
You're recording, okay.
Okay, but so we got Maison. Got it.
Okay. Any announcements, anything from the dice? Anything from the floor? Coming to our public hearing, the ordinances for number
Who
two.
was it? Who was that?
Oh, yeah, approve it. 1, 2. All in favor? Unanimous. To public hearings and ordinance number 2, site development plan for ultimate boat, RV, and mini storage. This will be a quasi judicial hearing. Madam Attorney, can you read this in?
Yes, it's Resolution 2024-10 SDP 2307, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan to construct 100,000 square feet of self-storage facility and 27,000 square feet of covered parking storage within a commercial intensive CI zoning district pursuant to Section 1412 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations identified by Alachua County Tax Parcel Number 01924-010-004, consisting of approximately 8.3 acres, lying within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
The agenda is
Over.
$18.94.
So then that is not the parcel number that I read on the resolutions. It would be,
So the-
we'll need to make that correction.
Yeah, it's a scrivener's error.
Okay.
Thank you.
You good, Madam Attorney?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're entering into a all certain rules and adhere to the primary rule we must follow concerns public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The opinion, testimony is limited to experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. Madam Attorney, you have read that in, as in number 2. So at this point, I'm going to ask the city clerk to swear in the applicant, staff, and all participants requesting to speak. They may collectively be sworn at this time. Go ahead.
Please state your name for the record, starting John Paul and
John Paul Press. Mike New.
do you hereby swear from the testimony you're about to give?
Before we begin, we need to disclose any ex parte communication, disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Ex parte communications are any conversation or transmission of information that may have bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. Commissioner Maison?
Absolutely not.
Commissioner Martin?
no, sir.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
None.
I myself, none. Commissioner Coleman?
None.
Okay. I will now explain the order of presentation that we will follow for the quasi item before us tonight. I will read this entirely, then we will start. Presentation order be the staff overview, the applicant present application, no time limit, the staff report and recommendation, no time limit, third-party intervener, no time limit, I have not heard of any. Public comments, 3 minutes. Intervener does not apply. The applicant may cross-examine. The party interveners may cross-examine, none to speak of now. Staff may cross-examine. Members of the decision-making body through the chair may ask questions to the staff, applicant, party interveners, and participants. Final argument may be made by the applicant, party interveners, and then staff related solely to the evidence and testimony presented at the hearing and introduced into the record. The city attorney will advise the decision-making body as to the applicable law and the factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. Be deliberations and applications. After deliberation, the vote shall be taken to approve with conditions, continue, or deny the application. JP?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This is John Paul Perez, Planning and Economic Development Department. The request before you tonight is for a site and development plan approval. This is for self-storage for the existing ultimate boat and RV storage on Newberry Road. This image shows the general location of the site within the city limits, located within the urban service area outside of our downtown districts. The applicant is Tibbetts Land Holdings, LLC, and the design firm and agent for the applicant is EDA Consultants Incorporated. This is an aerial image showing the subject property where it's located now. Right now, you've probably driven by it. It's a big dust bowl. There will be construction there shortly, should this be approved tonight. Here's an image showing the property in more detail. Pictures are dated, I see. This is across the property, looking north from the property. And so just to summarize the request, it's approximately 100,000 square feet of self-storage, 27,000 square feet of vehicular covered storage, what's out there currently. That's what we're calling covered vehicular storage. And related site improvements. Parking lot, there's going to be a future phase that's not included in this plan. I'll show it to you shortly, as well as the stormwater basin that's out there. This was heard at the April 1st Planning and Zoning Board meeting, and they did recommend approval. And it did have conditions attached to it, yes. And those were just a result of some things that were not able to complete in compliance review, and so they just, there's no reason to go through another submittal. They were minor enough that we could address them through comments. So I'm going to turn it over to Clay Swieger with EDA Consultants if he has a presentation. I don't believe he does, so he's available to answer any technical questions you may have at this time. But he'll be here all evening, so you can answer them after staff completes their presentation.
There's Clay. I like that bell.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Clay Swieger with EDA. I'm representing Mr. Todd Russo. He's the owner of Ultimate Boat and RV, a local business here in Newberry. And as John Paul mentioned, this is a site plan to add to his existing business in the city. You may recall last year we rezoned this property in order to have the commercial intensive zoning that would allow these uses. This is a combination of air-conditioned inside storage, mini storage, and RV and boat covered storage, which will just extend northward towards State Road 26. On the plan that you have, there's some future sort of retail-oriented uses that are not specifically being approved tonight, but they're shown, and those are in the State Road 26 overlay area. So you can see how the more kind of light industrial type uses are in the back, and as you get closer to 26, you got the retail, which is consistent with your overlay. There's also a very heavy landscape buffer, which is part of your regulations for the overlay district. So really, the rest of this property is sort of being master planned for an ultimate build out over the next few years when all the utilities are available and the landowner's ready to bring that forward. There are a couple conditions the staff has brought forward. We agree with those. Have no issue with those whatsoever. So with that, I'll conclude, and we're here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
1 second. Any public comments? Seeing none. From the dais, any cross-examinations?
I'm going to complete staff's findings for this and then provide our recommendation. And So just going into some of the shots, images of the site plan itself. I split it up into two sections for the purposes of this presentation. So you can see the street frontage as well as what's happening, we'll call it back of house, behind the future phase. And so this is up on State Road 26. The portion that is grayed out with the slashes through it is the future phase. That's not included here, but just to give you an illustration of what will be in the future, screening the self-storage in the rear. I'm going to go into the landscape plan so you can see the actual landscaping that will be screening it for the time being. But ingress and egress will remain in the same location as currently. The office will still be utilized for servicing this additional square footage for the property. There are some red circles there on the first drive inside of the new self-storage attached or expansion that Ultimate's planning, and we're just asking for a Knox box for first responders in the leftmost circle there. And we're asking for just some opaque screening where the access drive is. That's that second red circle there. Right now, it looks like a drive, but there isn't any sort of fencing proposed on the plan, so we're just asking that if there's not a gate, it be fencing, but it looks like it's intended for access, so just something be done with it so you can screen the rest of the use. And also an 8-foot PVC fence to screen the rest of it. So the self-storage will be ultimately not visible from the public right-of-way. It'll be present on the sign. That is what is required of the overlay district, essentially, for self-storage uses. So these are the self-storage buildings in a beige color, and in light blue is the covered vehicular storage, closer to where it is currently. Future commercial not being proposed. This is a landscape plan, so you can see that lush greenery that extends along State Road 26. While the field that was there will be going away, it will be replaced by a pretty expansive stormwater basin.
Golly.
It is pretty, yeah, it's wide and shallow. And then in front of that, there will be landscaping around that basin, and on the street frontage, there will also be a series of shrubbery, ground cover, trees, etc. So these are the criteria that staff utilize in reviewing site plans. We found them all consistent with the proposed site plan, and the conditions of approval that we are recommending, just to reiterate them as we move towards the recommendation in motion. Knox box, 8-foot PVC fence, and payment of a fair share for extension of the sewer lines. That'll be an agreement that they'll enter in with Public Works, just to reimburse the city for expansion of the sewer lines out to that property. Something that's being asked of all property owners in that area. Staff does find the request consistent with the land development regulations, the comprehensive plan, and we are recommending approval of Resolution 2024-10 with staff's conditions. I'm available for any questions from the applicants here as well.
Thank you, JP.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I messed up a while ago. Then I'll ask for public comments. Any? None? Seeing none? The applicant, would you like to cross-examine?
No, sir.
Would you like to say anything? Okay. Staff, JP, say anything else? No? Members of the decision-making body, questions?
The office building that's there now, is it on central sewer or is it on a septic, do you know? And are they going to be required to connect?
It is on septic, and when sewer becomes available, it will connect.
We've communicated that to the property owner?
Does the property owner feel like it's been communicated to them?
Yes. No surprises. All right. One question I do have, where do we think...
You got to
come up here.
Come on down. Good question. Where do we think sewer's going to...
What's your name?
Todd Russo, property owner.
Go ahead,
The question
Todd.
I do have is, where do we think sewer's going to enter the property from? Because the office is a different parcel, it's smaller than what we're talking about right now. Two different pieces, so don't want to
or we'll that together, but that'd be a good question. Good. Mr. Chair, not Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chair, I believe that we are working on that route now. We have alternatives. The subdivision that we've been working with to the east could potentially serve this site, but I think it's probably the last one. The Tanglewood subdivision looks like it will, and will either come down the State Road 26 right-of-way, which I think is most likely on the south side of State Road 26. It's possible that we could come in, I'd say, from the southern boundary line from Tanglewood, so it'd come in on your southeast corner if we do that.
Okay. Anything else on that there was a comment or no? You good? Anybody else on questions?
Yeah, John Paul, is there a 500-foot buffer, or is that included in this?
The overlay is 500 feet from the ultimate edge of the right-of-way, and this property lies within that 500-foot buffer, yes.
You're asking something different, I think.
My understanding is supposed to be a 500-foot buffer between the state road and the beginning of the...
So the city has adopted the overlay district standards, and those apply to properties that are within 500 feet of the state roads that bisect the city. So this does actually lie in that, and so those overlay district standards do apply to this property, and that's why you're seeing the additional requirements for screening of the self-storage, as well as the additional buffering requirements up on the state road. Yeah.
Okay, and it being 100,000 square feet, it doesn't fall under that previous thing that we were talking about earlier.
Great question. Yeah, no, because that's specific to retail establishments where this is not retail, so they would not be subject to any sort of stay on application for the zoning in progress that we were discussing at the City Commission meeting earlier this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
Anybody else on the dice? Any final arguments? None? Seeing none? City Attorney, will you please advise the decision-making body?
Any decision you make today needs to be based on competent, substantial evidence.
Any more deliberations?
No, sir.
I'll have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
You got them, Janine?
No, I got Coleman.
Second, Commissioner Martin. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Unanimous. And we got a few comments here. Any more topics from the decision-making body?
No, sir.
No comments? This board is adjourned.